What's up, Spider Nation? This is episode number 10 of Spider-Man's Tangled WebShow. I don't think you could see my hands there, but that is a 10 right there. I'm your host and webmaster of SpiderManFanrave.com. I am Jonathan right here, and that guy down there is James. Say hello to the people, James.
Hi to the people, James.
Awesome. I love when people repeat my words. It's never good. Mainly because I always realize how stupid I sound, and it's never fun, really. I fully expected him to come out and say, "Oh, now you always realize how stupid you sound," but he didn't. So, props to you, James, for that. I appreciate it.
Because I'm not stupid.
No, I expected you to turn it around and say, "Oh, you realize how stupid you sound." Anyway, forget it. That joke fell completely flat, and it. Whatever. We're not even a minute into the show, and I'm already telling bad jokes. Can you tell we're back, people? Awesome. So we took a week off last week because I had to do this thing called graduating high school. Yeah, that happened. I'm old. I guess I can't relate to Peter Parker anymore now that I'm out of high school. So I can't relate to that anymore. So yeah, Marvel, why don't you make a Spider-Man that appeals to me?
Really, John?
I'm kidding.
You're too old and out of high school. Tomorrow, June 6th, will be the 6-year anniversary of me graduating high school.
I was kidding, James. I've just literally pissed James off.
No, you didn't.
That's awesome.
I'm just saying about you saying you feel old for graduating, and that makes me feel double old.
No, I'm saying that because the freshmen the freshmen this year have continuously called me an old man. Even though I'm actually the youngest guy in the senior class, so there you go.
Well, all the freshmen in my high school were kind of stupid for the most part, because like literally they were my brother's class, and my brother even said they're all idiots. So I don't care what they say. But 2 of them are in the NFL now.
Really? Okay.
It's like I'm making jokes about my freshman class. But fun fact, 2 of them got drafted in the first round of the NFL draft this year.
That's an interesting turn of events. Oh man, I'd love to see that. It's like someone from my senior class just getting drafted into the NFL. I'd love to see that actually. I think that'd be cool. It'd be good for them too. So yeah, we're back again for episode number 10. We got some pretty important stuff to talk about this week. Mainly Kyrie Irving is out of the Cavs game, so now I guess we're gonna have to find some way to improvise in the finals. Oh wait, no, sorry, this isn't a basketball podcast.
Oh wow, Jonathan, your team has LeBron James, the best player since Michael Jordan. However, will you guys live?
It was a joke.
Hey, I'm a Bulls fan. I'm so bitter from what happened in the last round.
Did we play to be honest, I don't even know who we played in the last round. I was just like, oh, I just heard the Cavs were in the championship. I'm like, oh, okay. I'll watch this. Okay. I'll actually keep track of this. Are the Cavs going to impress me this time? Cavs haven't been good.
A Cleveland sports fan thinking his team's going to impress him. Ha ha ha. That's a funny story, John.
Yeah, I'm fully anticipating disappointment.
Apologies if you're from Cleveland anywhere, but come on, you guys cheer on the Browns. Your team moved.
Hey, okay, I don't cheer on the Browns. I've never cheered on the Browns. Never. Even I realize that. Okay.
The real Browns won a Super Bowl in another city, people. Get over it.
All right, so moving off of...
I just made mortal enemies in all over Cleveland, which includes J.R. Fettinger, so yay me.
Awesome. All right, so James, what have you been up to since
I'm just saying that right now to the people of Cleveland. I'm not really a dick. It was just a sports joke. Haha.
No, James is a dick, but he does also make sports jokes. Okay, so what you been up to since we last talked, James? How's your life been?
Not really anything impressive. Just getting things ready for school, like getting my books all settled. Cause it's summer, so I'll get them all the way now. That way, the day before the first day, I'm not in the book hall waiting for hours to buy knives and kitchen equipment and stuff like that. Yeah, remember how you used to be, John? You being just out of high school. Remember how you weren't even allowed to have a pencil sharpener because you might stab somebody? being in culinary, that's not the problem. One of your first things you got to do is buy butcher knives and stuff like that.
I actually was allowed to have pencil sharpeners in my high school.
My district didn't allow that because my when I was like in the third or fourth grade, a kid threatened to take out the pencil sharpener and stab somebody. So like my whole district was like, nope, you got to use the ones the school already has.
I won't mention the name of my high school, but there was a point where this year actually where someone pulled a knife on somebody. But
well,
that happened.
I brought it up in my new Spider-Man review. My junior year of high school, which is going to be 7 years ago, so I feel memorial. Somebody, yeah, that was the last week of school too, so damn it, it would be another anniversary. We had a week where there was a bomb threat, and I'm not kidding you, 4 or 5 days later, we had nearly a gang shooting, gang war.
Oh gosh.
It was the same week.
I think my high school career was sometimes difficult.
But anyways, yeah, my story about my week. Yeah, I was getting all my stuff ready for school. I had to mow the grass. Trying to think of anything else really important I did this week. Not really. I marathoned through Hey Arnold on Hulu because I realized, sweet, I used to watch this cartoon. So yeah, I marathoned for that show. My brother. Oh, and I also Wednesday renewed my vows. Not to an actual woman. I renewed my vows to this.
Yeah, I did not renew my vows to an actual woman either. I really thought when I said that I was going to be like, I don't know, in my 40s. But no, I'm 18 and I'm already renewing my vows. That's great.
Your vow from this. Look what all the car on it. Punching it.
Yep. Oh man.
I normally keep all my comics and my trades good. Look at how much beating this has took over the years for me just reading it and just clenching at it after reading one panel. I gave this book to 2 friends, and both times they returned it, people.
They returned it.
They returned it.
Oh man, that trade paperback does not look like it's in good condition. Nor was James's will to live after reading it. All right, so I guess
Aunt May called him his flirtatious code word from his ex-girlfriend. God, I hate this comic. She calls him Tiger as like a trilogy to the fans. Is that he comes down the stairs and she says breakfast is on the table, Tiger. And Aunt May, you silly person. You're the only woman I love. Okay, that got really creepy.
I'm not sure what's creepy.
But anyways, we're not reading this piece of shit no more because it's for a few months now, hopefully. They're back together and with a little girl who may or not be the little girl from this comic. But who cares about this piece of shit? Yes, I feel across the room. I've been one more day across the room, and I've been planning that all week.
He's been planning that 2-second joke all week.
I'm celebrating.
Awesome. Oh man, he's opening. Oh my gosh, the liquor is coming out.
One, I'm not going to get wasted in the show. It's one for a joke.
All right, so I guess. Here's the thing, though, and I'm gonna break this up. I'm gonna cause a little bit of a. I'm gonna draw out the tension here, building the tension to this review. Why do I keep moving this camera back and forth? Because I'm using my iPad and I'm trying to get an angle where I can move my arms willingly.
You mean
we're gonna build up?
What are you?
Hey, bro. Okay. I apologize for any young children watching this if I just made some obscene gestures at the camera. I really doubt young.
Spider-Man's married again, so obviously there's no children reading it because no kids want to read about a married Spider-Man.
I was just gonna say I really doubt there are young kids watching this because I'm pretty sure like if a young kid turned this on and just saw 2 random guys talking, I'm pretty sure he or she would just turn it right off. So, yes, also. Yeah, so I'm going to build a little bit of tension here because before we can talk about Renew Your Vows, I do want to briefly address Amazing Spider-Man Volume 3, number 18.1, which is Part 3 of Spiral by Gary Conway, Carlo Barberi, Juan Velasco, Israel Silva, Joe Caramagna, Yasmin Putri, Greg Land, Maury Hollowell, Devin Lewis, and Nick Lowe. I do want to briefly address that comic because even though James doesn't read it because he's waiting for it in trade, yes, he has money issues or whatever, because he has to work for a living. No offense to people who have to work for a living.
John, now that you're out of high school, I can tell you this. In the real world, you got to get things called jobs. And right now I'm currently unemployed, so I got very little bit of fun for my financial aid because obviously out of all my financial aid, majority of them have to go to getting stuff for school. But I do got a little bit of leeway. But also with a big Power Ranger convention coming up next year, I got to save some of that money for that. So yeah, money's really tight. So I'm basically down to just Amazing, Secret Wars. I'm going to pick up X-Men 92 because I was a huge fan of that cartoon when I was a kid. And Batman, Justice League, and it would converge into Descending, so I don't got to pick that up no more, thank God.
And once again, I was joking. I'm going to appreciate probably money more than most people maybe because teacher salaries are atrociously low. I'm just going to say that right now. I say this as I don't say this as an aspiring teacher. I say this as someone who respects teachers. Teachers deserve to be paid more. At least good teachers anyway. All right. So before we get kicked off the air for insulting bad teachers,
you mean like
I think I'm just.
You mean the one in that one JMS episode I reviewed for the website where the teacher's like, "Hey, I don't need the shooting no more. I think it's safe to go out now." He just wants to use.
Yeah.
I edited that part out because I thought it was too dark. I had to literally delete a line in there because in my review section I go, I'm really starting to think that maybe he wanted to use those kids as a human shield so that way he can save his own ass. But I realized, okay, that's really dark. I'm deleting that.
Yeah.
What he does, he's all like, I don't hear the shooting no more. I think it's safe. And then Peter with his spider sense goes, no, it's still not safe. I'll go out there though, and Joey will use his smoke screen gas.
And I'm pretty sure, like, if you have a school shooting like that, I mean, luckily I can't speak from experience, and heart goes out to all those who.
Sadly, I can with that story I told you guys that week.
But isn't the standard protocol? Isn't the standard protocol like the police tell you when it's safe to go out?
At least in my school, I don't know. Maybe in New York it's differently. I honestly hope not. But I know when I was in school, it was like if we're going through the drill, it's one thing where the teacher's okay, the drill's up, you can come out of your chair. But if this was legitimately going down, yeah, we literally had to wait and sit in that school for like an hour after the bell rang because the bomb scare happened with like an hour left of school, and we had to sit there for like an extra half hour because they wanted, obviously, not until they got the okay. But it wasn't like a teacher saying, yeah, I think it's okay, you can all leave now. No, we had to wait till we got the okay from the police.
Yeah, it's like I'm pretty sure that's how that works. Luckily, I can't speak from experience. Heart goes out to all those who unfortunately can speak from experience. But all right, moving off of the darker topics, let's talk about this Amazing Spider-Man 18.1 here. Basic plot synopsis: the Black Cat wants to take over. Basically the underworld. The Crime Master says, well, that's not going to be able to happen until you get Hammerhead and Tombstone's gangs. And all right, I'll do that. Meanwhile, Peter Parker is basically in his office thinking about, what Captain Watson for advice. And she says, basically, so Peter says, all right, I'm just going to go talk to her. He runs into Captain Watanabe making deals with Mr. Negative. And he says, Mr. Right, and Watanabe is like, what? So they go to stop at jail. Prime Master and his enforcers. Battles. She finds from the previous. She decides to shoot. And if I'm looking at the page correctly, the book is, I heard a gunshot. Wraith, what did you do? It's just in the back himself, and you can see blood on the floor. overall, another very, very good installment of Spiral issue Spider-Man. I think that I believe this issue is a solid continuation of the arc that he's already established. The biggest thing that I noticed in this issue that is still really out of character in terms of her motivations as she is in the main stories. It's actually as irritating here because they don't shove it down your throat that she's like, oh, I'm evil now. Oh, I'm pissed at you, Spider-Man. Okay, I'm gonna go, screw somebody up because, I can because I'm bad. Oh, look at me, my bad luck powers. She's not doing that. She's actually like,
She's not doing the whole. She's not doing the whole. I don't care because I don't believe your bullshit story. Even though the Avengers eventually, turned it around and started to blame Peter. And they could have literally held a press conference saying the last year was not Spider-Man. The guy who shot Massacre in the face, the guy who caused the prison to turn into Spider Island, the guy who allowed the Goblin Nation. That was not Peter Parker. You still have the Jonas that will go, I don't believe it. He's a menace, But Black Cat literally, once the Avengers even would tell her, probably wouldn't believe it because I don't care. I'm evil now.
I don't care because the current direction that my character has been forced into. But the dialogue in this issue with the Black Cat is so much better. It doesn't shove it down our throats that, oh, I'm bad. So I did appreciate that. It's a step in the right direction. And it's redemption. It's a better moment than Spider-Man basically. Okay, and keep the police here and bullets start flying. That will cause innocent people. And so she leaves, and then you do get a really funny moment when because that little right outside Hammerhead's cell, and so Hammerhead's like, "Oh, you guys make such a cute couple," and just make me hit you. Moment that was a great line. I enjoyed that. The artwork in this issue once again fantastic. The characterization of Peter Parker once again fantastic. I will say it's like it does kind of speak badly of the current era of Spider-Man when I have to point out that Peter Parker being written in character is a positive, is an act goes out of its way to be a positive aspect of the issue.
Wpeter Parker actually being written at all is a positive.
It just, to be honest, seeing Peter being written like he is in this story, it's so refreshing. It feels like Spider-Man is back, and that's one of the main reasons why I've said in my written articles on the website, and I've said it here that this is probably one of the best Spider-Man stories we've gotten in probably the past 5 years, because just issue after issue of this is just delivering solid characterizations, solid plot, solid artwork. I mean, I really, really like the artwork in this issue. There's one specific page that I want to show off that I don't know why. I just really like this. This 2-page spread of the Black Cat just taking the crap out of people. It's awesome. And then, of course, there is the 2-page spread of Spider-Man and the Black Cat fighting once again. And even though, Felicia's characterization is not completely on point, it's good artwork, and I do enjoy the visual aspect of the issue quite a bit. Watanabe's story, once again, it just keeps progressing on. It seemed to take a bit more of a back seat in this issue than it did in the previous 2 installments. But that's okay. Probably what's going to happen with Watanabe, and I said this in my written article as well, is that there's no way she's going to be able to maintain her status within the police force by the end of this story, because it's bound to either she's either going to like see the error of her ways and be overcome with guilt and resign, or someone's going to find her out and she's going to get fired. Either way, there's no way she's going to maintain her captain status after this. And I think we all realized that from the beginning, but it's just an interesting story to see unfold. I really like the cliffhanger with her supposedly shooting Tombstone. And I'm interested to see where the story keeps going. So I give this issue a thumbs up. I really enjoy Spiral. If you're not reading Spiral at the moment, I know James is waiting for it in trade. I recommend, if you are waiting for it, in trade, I recommend picking it up immediately. And if you're open to buying the single issues of this, I'd say go out to your comic shop and pick them up right now. It's a very solid story, and like I've said, it's one of the best Spider-Man stories we've gotten in several years. I'm really enjoying this, and I anticipate each new issue every month, and that's saying something considering how, you know, I always look forward to new issues of Spider-Man, even if, you know, I don't think I'll like the story very much. I always usually try to keep an open mind and say, okay, maybe I'll enjoy this. But this is a little story here that I know I'm going to enjoy every month. Really digging it, really liking it a lot. So I give this issue a thumbs up. I give this overall arc so far a thumbs up. And that's really all I have to say about Amazing Spider-Man 18.1. So I guess we can finally turn to what everyone wants to talk about. Amazing Spider-Man Renew Your Vows. Now, this is something I want to clear up before we actually get into this. James pointed out to me, I don't remember if it was on the air or off the air. He was like, yo, man, do you realize that we just did like everything leading up to One More Day right before this story came out? I did not honestly plan that. James just happened to mention to me one day, he's like, oh yeah, let's cover Civil War. I was like, okay. So we did that, and then I was like, okay, let's do Back in Black.
Well, to be fair, the original plan was to do Sins Past, but Jan wanted to do that too, and Jan hasn't been on the last few weeks, so it ended up being Civil War, which were like our second choice.
No, the reason we didn't do Sins Past is I think the reason we didn't do Sins Past one day is because like I was too tired to reread it or something. But yeah, we were gonna do Sins Past, and then all of a sudden we didn't for whatever reason. I think Jan actually told me that he hasn't read it, so maybe that was why. So we did Civil War, we did Back in Black, and then interspersingly we talked about One More Day. James punched One More Day several times, as you just saw there. And so that was not planned. I swear on my life that was not planned. It was even less planned than the fact that this whole podcast is centered around people with names starting with the letter J, which we have joked about several times in our own little behind-the-scenes group. That's really not planned.
I still think that in the old podcast when Jacob and Jan joined, we really missed the opportunity to call it the JJJ podcast. Because it fits, because you're going to Jameson Jr. now. So there's your 4 J's. We still missed that opportunity.
We have that opportunity right now, to be honest with you. But the other, just so you know, Jan has not like quit the podcast or something, at least not officially. To be honest, we don't actually really know where he is. We messaged him about this episode, and he never got back to me. I know he was studying for finals. A while back, and I know he's been having like a lot to do with like school and his robotics team or whatever. So we don't actually know where he is. Jan, first of all, we hope
the robot came to life and became sentient, and then like a week later we'll get an email from him. Jan is currently at the place where humans go when they summer camp. He is programming to find the local areas with summer camps. Okay, here's the address for the local summer camp. Sincerely, your friend, Jan 5874654321. P.S. This is not a robot.
Oh gosh. So we hope you're okay, man, because because James and I were talking, we were like, is Jan okay? So we hope you're okay, man. Please don't be like injured or something. That would not be good. Please, Jan, come back to us and we can all renew our vows together.
I'm not renewing my vows with you guys.
You want a trial separation already, James? Fine, we'll do this. All right. Well, this marriage lasted less time than Kim Kardashian and Chris Humphries.
Well, I'm sorry. Jan. I'm sorry, John. You're just a little bit too young for me. Okay.
Yes, I agree. I fully agree with you. I fully agree with you. All right. Let's talk Renew Your Vows here. Let me give a rundown of the creative team before we dig into this. Writer Dan Slott, pencils Adam Kubert, inks John Dell, colors Justin Ponser, Letter, Joe Caramagna. Cover artist, Adam Kubert and Justin Ponser. Variant cover artists, Ramos Delgado and Scotty Young. Assistant editor, Devin Lewis, and editor, Nick Lowe. Now, a little bit of background information on Renew Your Vows in case you're watching this podcast and you're not keeping up with the books, or maybe you're listening to this on iTunes and you're not keeping up with the books, or whatever. You just haven't been keeping up with Spider-Man very much. Basically, after One More Day, we got the whole Brand New Day, big time Superior Spider-Man Volume 3 era, which took place from 2008 all the way up through last month, May of 2015. You guys may remember our epic review of Amazing Spider-Man Volume 3, number 18. And when I say our epic review, I mean James's epic review, which gave the best rant I've ever heard on any of our podcasts. That was how hilarious that was.
Well, that's saying something, doesn't it?
I'm not even gonna answer that question. I'm not gonna touch that. But so we got that whole era, and during that time, Peter Parker was single. Peter Parker was struggling to find a job. Well, actually, no, that was only really during Brand New Day. But during this whole time, Peter Parker was single. Peter Parker was, as quote unquote, many people put it, a loser. A lot of people did not like the direction that Marvel was going in with Brand New Day. Myself included, I wasn't really a big fan of the Brand New Day era. I admit it had good parts to it, but I wasn't a big fan of it overall, just my personal opinion. Big Time came along. That was the beginning of Dan Slott's solo run on Amazing Spider-Man, because Brand New Day was overseen by a brain trust of writers. Dan Slott comes in as a solo run on Amazing Spider-Man, tries to progress the story a bit, get Peter into a better position. Then Superior Spider-Man comes. Yeah. Let's ask James. What was Superior Spider-Man for you, James?
There's everybody knows the Frank Millerism. When did Frank Miller become Sin City crazy Frank Miller, and when was he actually competent at writing Dark Knight Returns, Batman Begins? Superior was about a year or two after Dan Slott reached that breaking point. Because literally, I believe I was quoted on one of the episodes where we reviewed Superior, where I said, if they do bring back this title one day, the only time you'll see me buying it is if I was desperately in need of toilet paper, and I still stand by that.
I do remember that quote. That was an epic quote. I do remember that. That was very funny.
Oh, that's because Spider-Verse, they were going to bring it back for issues 32 and 33 or whatever it was. It's like a prologue. And I said, the only way you're going to see me buying that prologue if I desperately need toilet paper. I'm sure
the creative teams of those books, I'm sure they didn't hear that podcast, but if they did, I'm sure they loved that comment. Yeah, not. So Superior Spider-Man comes. Superior Spider-Man comes and goes. Amazing Spider-Man comes back with Volume 3. Volume 3 is not well received by James either. Not really by me either as well.
Everybody's saying that. You go on any Spider-Man podcast, any Spider-Man website, any Spider-Man forum, 90% of everybody says that Volume 3 is crap. Even to the point that I almost imagine there's going to be this interview with Dan Slott where he's talking about Volume 3. He goes, I don't understand why people hated it. I mean, think about the great moments we had with Anna Maria and Sanji and all the workers at Parker Industry and Silk, all the great moments with Silk and Black Cat. And what about the great moments we had with Spider-Gwen and all the alternative Spider-Mans? I got to write Miles. Wasn't writing Miles great? You forgot about the Portland guy? Oh, yeah, Spock. I brought back Spock in Spider-Verse. Wasn't it great to see Spock in? That was a great moment. No, you're forgetting Peter Parker. Who?
That was the main complaint against Amazing Spider-Man Volume 3. A legitimate complaint, as far as I'm concerned. I do agree with that complaint quite a bit. I'm not the biggest fan of Volume 3 either. I'm a bit more positive towards Spider-Verse than most people. But whatever. But Renew Your Vows comes as Secret Wars commences on the Marvel Universe. For anyone who doesn't know, Ultimate and 616 have now collided. And Battle World.
fists coming together, and I just boom. That's basically what happened in that comic.
Battle World has been created, and Battle World is made up of several separate domains, and one of those domains is called the Regency. That is where this story takes place. That is where we find a rather mature Peter Parker, a rather mature Mary Jane Watson Parker, or they never actually, I'm not actually sure they call her Mary Jane Watson. They actually call her Mrs. Parker throughout most of this. So Mary Jane Parker. And you find Annie Parker. Yes, a lot of people got all bent out of shape about the fact that Annie is not called Mayday. I personally don't care.
But it's a different daughter. Mayday was the daughter that they were supposed to have, that they were going to have in the Clone Saga. This is the daughter that Mephisto said they wouldn't have because of the deal. They're different daughters, people.
Yeah, it's like I just...
If they do a crossover, Mayday will be her older sister, technically, because they're not the same daughter. They're not the same girl. One's a brown-haired girl with short hair, and the other one's a long redhead.
Yep. Don't you love it when people just like don't pay attention to details? All right. So, James, would you like to give the summary of this comics? Because I think you're the more enthusiastic one and about this particular series. So I'm gonna let you give the basic rundown of this comic. I'm gonna let you lead this one.
Well, because unlike Jan and John, I'm going to say this again. I'm going to turn 25 in 2 months, but I'm going to make myself seem old again by saying I'm the one who's been reading the comics much longer than both Jan and John. You know, they're one graduated high school and one's still in high school, and I'm college 25-year-old. And so I was reading the book for over a decade now, since 2004, 2005. Whenever New Avengers hit, that's when I started. So about a decade, give or take.
Yeah, about a decade. I think New Avengers hit in about 2005.
Yeah. Yeah, it was like January 2005. It was like really soon, too. It was like January or February 2005 is when the book hit.
That sounds about right.
And maybe December, because I forgot how cover dates work with comics about how much in advance or not in advance they are. But I do remember it was like somewhere around there. It was in the middle of the school year for me. And I'm a fan of the marriage. I came in with the marriage. I'm like most 90 kids who got into Spider-Man. In the comics, he was married for all of us. He was married, granted, water clone, but he got married in the cartoon. Ultimate, they set up him and Mary Jane being destined to be together. They were still teenagers, but you got the sense that he's going to marry that girl one day. And he did. He eloped with her. You got, you know, other alternate universes where they had Mayday and they were husband and wife, happily married couple with 2 kids. You had the Raimi movies where she was the girl. She was the love interest. She was the main part of all 5. You even got...
She was Kirsten Dunst.
They were married. And even the video game, the original video game, Mary Jane was his wife. We grew up with Mary Jane as his wife. And then Marvel, when I was around 18 and in high school still, decided, guess what, high schoolers and on down won't relate. Wait a second. Yes, we were. Aren't you listening to me and other people who were around my age? We grew up with Peter and Mary Jane being married. No, you didn't. You didn't get the real Spider-Man. Here's our Spider-Man. Here's Brand New Day. Live with it. Take your medicine. Shut up. Now you can really enjoy a Spider-Man who is your age. You mean a guy who is a dumbass who, long story short, my mom lost her job a few years ago and she had to go on not food stamps. What am I thinking about? Unemployment. And Peter can't get on there. Peter can't get on there, but yet my mom, you know, got on there. And that's not a shot at my mom. I'm just saying, though, people get on unemployment once they lose their job. Why wasn't Peter on there? Because he's a loser. Peter would still be on unemployment. Or he would at least got a job somewhere. As degrading and low-paying as it was, Peter would get a job. But he's a loser, like you. Then why do I want to read if you're calling me a loser? Show up and take your medicine. Literally, that's pretty much been like the Brand New Day era. And I'm a fan of Brand New Day, but that's pretty much what the behind-the-scenes felt. I believe one of the writers was quoted of saying that the idiot fanboy nerds are going to try to think of this thing in a timeline, but you can't think about a timeline no more. This is all new, fresh start for them. And it's like, you wrote Back to the Future, dude, and you're complaining about people asking you about the timeline? You wrote Back to the Future! But anyways, that long rant that ended up, as a fan who grew up with the marriage, who got into the book during the GMS era of the marriages, I still say, even going back and rereading all the early Ezekiel stuff that I missed originally, coming in around 500 and since past where I was, and all that to One More Day, and reading back issues even beyond that. I love the marriage. I love Mary Jane. And there was a part of the book that for the last 7 and 9, whatever it is, like 6, 7, 8 years, whatever how long it's been, there's been that missing part that I miss. I miss not the marriage. Like, I'll be the first to say it's a ring. A ring doesn't change stuff. But I miss Peter being a fucking competent character. I miss Mary Jane being anything more than, we have to make her the ditzy redhead because that's how we remember her. And also, it also shoots her in the foot of any romantic interest with Peter because we're making her look stupid compared to Carly. Well, I didn't have Mary Jane say how perfect Carly is, but Mary Jane would never fucking say. Okay, I'm going on a rant now, but I know that, but still, I miss Peter being Ronan competent. I wish Mary Jane being Ronan competent. I wish everybody not acting like immature, stupid idiots. And then, like, from a gift from God, granted from Dan Slott, but from a gift from God, I told this to John just after I got home from the comic shop. I didn't even read the comic yet. Actually, I did read the comic. I told him my review and my thoughts of it. But when I went to my comic shop and I saw this standing there, I wanted to cry because I never thought I was going to read my Spider-Man again. Granted, okay, again, I said the marriage ring doesn't change anything. When it comes to marriage and non-marriage, my stance has always been it's history. The marriage should stay in because I love Mary Jane as a regular character. She should be in the book, and they should be together. But my stance on marriage has never been about, well, because they're married. No, that's not. If that's your only stance is, well, he was married, so he should be married, then you don't have a point. My point was about how characters were written. If they're written well, not married, and they're constantly in the book characters I care about, I'm fine with it. Mary Jane hasn't been. She's been character assassination or thrown to the corner. And even you can kind of say Peter was the same thing recently. Was character assassinated many times and then thrown into the corner. So we got this.
Did I just lose my internet?
But at least for this one issue, it can all go to hell the next issue. If that rumor that a lot of people are saying is true, that the reason why, spoiler, why the kid and Peter are only together is because Mary Jane's dead and they fooled us or whatever. Again, we gotcha, she's dead. At least I have one new issue of the Amazing Spider-Man, not the Amazing Spider-Girl, not a shout out that title, but of the Amazing Spider-Man, which has my Peter and my Mary Jane once again able to read. Because one of the things that I constantly heard in Bray today, well, we were trying to get back to our Spider-Man, the one who we at Marvel grew up from, while the one that I grew up from was getting shit on. At least for one issue, I got my Peter Parker back. So let's begin. After that long rant, and we probably lost viewers because people were like, oh, this again? I'm tired of listening to One More Day and Brandon Day rants. This is to set it up, people. Trust me.
Yeah, we do apologize if we sound like broken records, but I think it's important to give context to sort of establish the reasons we have for the feelings that we have.
Because like other Spider-Man podcasts and websites and threads, I know I sound like a broken record. It's like you can listen to every other podcast, every other web show, comic book. You can listen to every other review on a website or a forum, and it sounds like that same broken record getting repeated. But that's because that's how Marvel's been. Marvel hasn't let go of having to promote the non-married Spider-Man since Brandon Day, and saying fooled you. Like I posted this on a Spider-Man forum, the video from Spaceballs where the princess thinks it's a Star Wars parody, where the princess thinks she sees her dad, but then Dark Helmet, who's the Vader parody, it turns out he was just using the Force to make her think, or the Schwartz, I think is what they called it, to make her think that was her father, but it was really him in the mirage of him using the Schwartz. And he says it is Rick Moranis from the Silence of the Kids movie. He goes, "Fooled you," in like that voice. Like I fully expect Marvel, because they have done this before. They have given you that big middle finger with Peter and Mary Jane. Hey, look here, we've been building up the two of them getting back together with Spider Island. We broke up Carly, and we even had Mary Jane also say how she still loves Peter. Guess what? They get back together, but it's Spock. And then when Peter's back, she doesn't want him because of all this shit, because she was rolling stupidly, even though Mary Jane in a million years would never fall for that. Like, literally, that's how Marvel's been. But, and that's why the fandom feels that way. Because we've got the middle finger so many times from Marvel that it's like, what's the point, when you read Mary Jane now? She hardly appeared in Volume 3. I believe she's only in, 2 panels altogether?
I think she is in about maybe 2 pages.
She's in 2 pages for maybe 3 panels, because she's got that idiot moment where she closes the laptop with his 2 panels. And then you have that one thing in like issue 2 or 3 with the Black Cat in the burning building, where she goes, "Oh, thank God Ollie's still alive," or whatever it was. And then that's it. And then Peter says, "Yeah, I should let her be with her boyfriend. She doesn't need me anymore."
Yeah, because whenever she saw me, she was always so terrified that I was going to get hurt. She went through that nightly. She it's so great that she's with Ollie now. She's so much better with him.
Who Peter needed to save from a fucking burning building because he's a firefighter. Oh my God, I get it. It's ironic. Peter's saying that, but he's a firefighter, so he's also risking his life every night and could die. We get it.
To be honest, I don't even think that was meant as irony. I think that was meant as just like, oh, hey, I think we're trying to show why Ollie is a better man, but it's like, what does Ollie do every night?
He's a firefighter. Oh, at least she doesn't have to worry about that no more. He's a firefighter, and Peter had to save him from a burning building because he's a firefighter.
That whole issue was terrible, but that was one of the several reasons why.
Isn't it? That's the original Sin one where the cover is Peter getting bit with Silk, isn't it?
No, that was the issue right before Silk debuted.
Yeah, that's the one where the Black Cat. That's the one where Peter scares off Black Cat, right? Where he's all like he makes box still.
Yeah, he's like he talks like Doc Ock for like 2 pages, and then she's like, "Oh my gosh!" And then he outright says.
And then Spider-Man himself calls out the bad writing of Superior. I talked like that for a year and a half and nobody caught on.
Ooh, look at this. Look at this, guys. I'm a tricky comic. I'm a clever comic. I'm pointing out the flaws of the past year and a half. That doesn't make you a tricky comic. That makes it suck more because it's just like, oh, look here are the flaws that I could have fixed.
Yeah, it means you're pointing out your flaws. It means you knew what you were doing all the time.
And you could have fixed it, but you didn't.
But anyways, yeah, Marvel has been giving us that middle finger. Like I will say one more. The Carly thing, where in the same issue where Carly would have let her pregnant friend die because she's a monster. She's a goblin. I will never help a goblin. Mary Jane says, she's just like you, Peter. One, Peter did everything in his power in every fucking continuity. Maybe not the Amazing Spider-Man 2, but granted that ended after that movie, that series. But in every other fucking continuity, he did everything in his power to help Harry, who became a goblin. Carly was going to let her friend and her unborn child die because she's a monster. She's not my friend no more.
Okay, in Peter's defense for that movie, you do realize that if Peter had given him his blood, it would have turned out the same.
No, I'm not saying that. I mean after he became the goblin. Peter didn't want to help him, but he sent him to jail. He didn't kill him, but
he offered to help him, and then he snapped his girlfriend's neck. I don't think you're going to help the guy after that.
But you know what I mean, though. Every other continuity, though, his main goal is to help Harry. Carly didn't want to help Lily. She called her a monster.
I believe you're referencing Origin of the Species, right? That
Yeah,
story?
and then later on, yeah, and then the best I died like for Mary Jane in there. She said Carly's more stronger than her. Really now? Carly's more stronger and can handle Spider-Man, where you couldn't. Thank you for slapping me in the face for all the comics I fucking read of them over the years being married, Marvel. And not being married,
And then
in general. You're telling me that Mary Jane, who went through everything, her honeymoon was being hunted by Puma.
yeah, it was
Her
Puma.
honeymoon, period. Peter was buried for 2 weeks by Craven. She was scared half to death when they were getting their first apartment together by Venom. The owner and landlord of that first apartment was her stalker. She had multiple stalkers after that. She had the Clone Saga and Peter becoming, I am the Spider. She had She had Civil War where she stuck by her man. She had Back in Black where she stuck by her man. Carly cried like a bitch because Peter wouldn't have to talk to her about what their relationship was, when Carly was the one who turned him down issues before that.
And then we move on to Amazing
Marvel.
And then we move on to Big Time, where after Peter gets his job at Horizon Labs, he gets a visit from Carly Cooper and Mary Jane. And during said conversation, Marvel decides to, it's just what the comic does.
She doesn't know what Peter's talking about. Which, granted, there was times before where she'll go in English, Peter, please, and he would explain it to her. But at the same time, she wouldn't zone them out because of the science talk. She would ask questions because she would be actually want to know what's going on with Peter. Hell, in this comic,
she's not freaking Penny from The Big Bang Theory. She's
better than Penny from The Big Bang Theory. Because
she's not freaking Penny.
Stuck up, I'm beautiful, so smarts isn't important to me. Mary Jane has never been that. Even when she was the 60s go-go dancer, hey, son, don't have a cow, man. Ain't I so groovy, dude? She was still smart enough to be friends with Peter Parker. But anyway, yeah. After that rant about how shitty the last few years have been, now let's go into the actual good, competent comic. Because the reason why I'm pointing out all those character inaccuracies, how Mary Jane has acted in the last few years, how Peter have acted in the last few years, magically, with this one comic, my Peter, my Mary Jane have been written the way they were originally to me. I am reading something that's no different than something I read in the JMS era or any other things before that. Clone Saga or not be damned. It could have been a shitty storyline, but the characters in this book are written the way I remember them being written. Now let's go into the comic now, shall we?
Let's do so.
Our comic begins with the photo albums, where, this is a great moment because we get to see the photo album. You got the daughter Annie being born, not Mayday, Annie being born. You got a picture of them with Aunt May, showing that Aunt May is alive in this continuity, probably because they got photos of her. They got the wedding.
And Anna Watson.
Yeah, and they got the wedding dress in the background, differently. But then again, I think this was another thing to say. This is not the same universe. The main Marvel 616, they were never married. But here you go. Here's a universe where they're married, and that's why she's wearing a different dress, and the background's different. And you got, I like the calendar. It says May on it. That's a nice little touch. People think that's a reference to Mayday. It's not. It's a reference to Aunt May. Shut the fuck up.
It's a freaking calendar, to be honest. I don't think it's a reference to fucking anything.
Well,
freaking anything.
June just ended, so it might be when they thought the month when the comic was going to come out, maybe it was May, maybe.
Yeah, it's just like, I really don't. I think people are looking way too far into that.
I think it's obviously. I think it became an Aunt May. I think it's when people are saying it's a Mayday reference because the daughter's supposed to be Mayday. No, it's not Mayday. Shut the fuck up. If anything, it's Aunt May because they're tying into one more day, kind of. That's what I think it is. I think it's May standing above the family that Peter could have had, kind of thing.
I'm all for fan speculation and fan theories, but I think I think some people are going way too far with the calendar thing. It's a calendar.
And then I brought this up before on the podcast when we were talking about the preview art. Oh my God, Peter and Mary. Oh, actually, I don't think we brought this up on the podcast, but I brought this up before in forums. By the preview art, Peter and Mary Jane are talking about Peter being Spider-Man at a table together again while he's fixing his web shooters. Oh my God, I remember this. This is the fun Spider-Man that I remember, that I grew up with.
Here we go. For those of you watching on YouTube, I apologize for those of you who are going to be listening later on iTunes, but for those of you watching us on YouTube right now, here we go. Here's some of the art. Very nice 2-page spread by Adam Kubert and his art team. Very solid visuals there.
And I love the people who said that they were going to reveal that this is the 616 Peter who is single, but he's going for like a mind control device that makes him think that he's married and everything, and that the proof is that the baby's too young that she is in the cover. And I called. I said, "What if this is a flashback?" Oh no, it can't be. That's just the proof that this is an alternative universe. I mean, an alternative mind control device. That the daughter's a baby. Maybe it's a flashback. And then what did I know? What did it end up being? But yeah, they're
a flashback.
Now, granted, now you got one of the Dan Slott isms. I'm going to call it out. Peter's so much of a loser, he can't even change his own baby's diaper. Oh, what an idiot.
Hey, he did change one diaper.
And it dissolved after an hour because it was just webbing. And we're not joking. That's literally that's like dialogue in the comic, people.
That is actually in the book.
Yeah, I changed the diaper once. Yeah, and it's all after an hour because you just webbed her up a diaper. Because granted, maybe they had money issues and money was too tight, but no, well, it's just Peter being a loser, lazy, do nothing for his daughter. But anyways, going back onto the comic, like I said, I'm having fun. This is my Spider-Man, and I called this months ago. I said there's going to be white birds in the story because everybody who read One More Day and omit, there was a red bird. That was the Mephisto bird. In this panel, we see birds. What color are they?
They look pretty white to me.
And in religion and storytelling, white represents, and the reason why wedding dresses are white, purity. This is the pure non-Mephisto universe. Now, granted, they can have a red bird show up in the next issue, which means Mephisto's going to do the deal with them in this universe too, if they wanted to. But for right now, I said there's going to be white birds to symbolize how this ain't One More Day. And I turned out to be true. Then we got Peter going to the Daily Bugle, and oh my God, she's at the Bugle. He's talking to Jonah. Jonah's at the Bugle. Oh my God, this is the Spider-Man I remember. This is what
Joe Roberts
been. A Spider-Man who the readers can relate to because it's memorable. Not Peter having a heart attack and Dexter Bennett coming in.
Joe Robertson, Ben Urich.
Ben Urich, who ain't dead by Kingpin in this continuity. That's a Daredevil reference for people don't understand. Don't get.
Yeah. I will talk a little bit about this this Bugle scene because I think it's actually, to be honest, I think this Bugle scene is actually my least favorite in the book because I think one of my big positives about this issue is just like the characterization of Peter Parker. And I think the dialogue pretty well goes with that throughout most of the book. But I think in the Daily Bugle scene here, I think it does get a bit clunky. I think it does kind of go against the overall tone of the book. It seems a bit overtly childish when Peter's supposed to be portrayed as a mature adult. Maybe it was just the way I read it, but I think probably because of that, this is probably my least favorite scene in the book. It was nice to see some of the old supporting cast members again, like Jonah and Robbie and all them, because even with Jonah, I will say that was the one big thing that I really wish we got in our Volume 3. Why did we never get that Jonah talk show? That needed to happen. I would have bought an entire
Fox
issue.
News. Not Fox News. Get it? Jonah joined Fox News. Wink, wink.
Yes.
They get accused of making up the news, and not to get political. That's why political police are on Fox News. That's why I said they get accused of it. I'm not, because I don't want to offend anybody from either side. But I want to verify that I got my own personal opinion, but I'm saying accused because I don't want to offend anybody. But they get accused for being, making up news stories to fit their own propaganda. And Jonah does the same thing. So a fill-in for them, Jonah's working for. Get it? I'm a great writer.
And I will say it is nice to see some of the old supporting cast, like Joe Robertson, Ben Urich. I mean, when was the last? I mean, man, when was the last time we saw Robbie and he did something? Like,
well, I think that's the whole point. I think that's the whole point, John. I think it's to set up that this is the perfect universe to some fans. I think that's what it is, which is why I think the middle finger is still going to come. Because it's like we're setting up, this is the perfect universe you want. What's the name of the story? You can't have nice things.
Yes, that is legitimately the title of this issue. Renew Your Vows Part 1, Why We Can't Have Nice Things. And I don't want to be that guy who says, "Oh, that's Marvel, insulting us." I'm not going to be that guy. I will. All right, James will be that guy for me. I don't want to be that guy. To be honest, I think for me to I don't like to do that. I mean, I have no idea what Marvel's thinking. I really don't like to put words in Marvel's mouth. I mean, sometimes I do it for the purpose of parody and humor, but I don't really like to do that. So watch me next episode do that. Or watch me do that in 5 minutes. But I'm not going to be that guy. James will be that guy for me. So
I do like though how the page before that though with the daughter. Damn it! I know it's Annie, and I went on that rant about how Annie and Mayday are different people, but I keep on wanting to say Mayday because I'm just so used to saying Mayday as the name of Peter Parker's daughter in comics. But
that's understandable.
I can't believe that after I went on that big rant about Mayday being a different character, I was about to say her name. I went, damn it. But anyways, what I was trying to say is I do like the page before that last panel, how a lot of fans are going, well, how are they going to have him have a secret identity with the daughter because obviously she can't go around blurting it? And they spill it out right there. We're going to keep it a secret from her because we don't want her to be on Playdate. Somebody kicks sand in her face, and she goes, "You big meanie, my dad will beat you up. He's Spider-Man."
Yeah, I did enjoy that as well. All right, so moving on from the Daily Bugle scene, we get a little scene of Spider-Man going to the Avengers mansion. I think James will talk a little bit about that. Basically, some of the superheroes are disappearing.
Yeah, they bring up that the X-Men are gone, that Moon Knight and Daredevil are gone. That's actually brought up with the Bugle and Peter earlier. But this is when it's starting. It delves into the street-level heroes. So it's like, oh, the street-level heroes are dropped now. That's terrible. But now the Avengers are starting knowing it's happening to the X-Men. We're probably next.
And
then you got, and then of course, they got to make sure this is a different universe again. This ain't 616 Peter, even though if you read Secret Wars, you know already this ain't 616 Peter. But to symbolize it, they have Tony Stark in his old uniform, kind of. Different look of it, but it's similar to the original Iron Man suit. And then Captain America, they flipped the star and the A on the costume.
Oh yeah, they did, didn't they? I didn't even notice that, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I think that was another thing from Marvel. It's not 616.
We're just gonna throw in these little subtle details that literally no one. Okay, I'm sure you noticed them, so someone noticed them.
On its own. Everybody knows because of Secret Wars that this is not 616 Peter. There's no point in this. The only
we already know that.
It's changing for the sake of changing, and also because it just doesn't become an ongoing. It's like, well, it can't become an ongoing because look at the Captain America and everything looks differently. It can't be the ongoing universe. This Captain America's dead and doesn't have the A and the star in the right place. But yeah, you got Tony Stark, and ironic enough, we talked about Civil War, Back in Black, and One More Day. And what is the speech that Tony and Peter has? Hey, take off your mask in front of all of us, and you can come live in the mansion with us. It would be awesome.
You know what? That never even crossed my mind until right now when you just said that. That's amazing.
This is an homage to the fact that Tony's like, hey, take off your mask, reveal your secret identity, and I'll keep you and your family safe.
And Mary Jane's like, do we have to wear masks? Are they going to give us code names?
And then, of course, something happens. MJ gets disconnected from Peter after a ding dong from the doorbell. I wonder who it can be.
Well, as we turn the page a bit, after the Avengers decide to go after a guy named Augustus Roman, who is CEO of Empire Unlimited.
Wow. Empire Unlimited. This universe is called the Regency. Wow. I wonder if he may be the supervillain, guys.
So the Avengers go after him, and Peter decides to web swing home because right before the Avengers head out, Captain America gets a call from Hawkeye saying that every single prisoner at Rikers Island broke out. Okay.
I think it's another homage that this universe's like Civil War moment, because obviously the Rikers Island breaking out is how Peter reveals his secret identity the first time in the first arc of New Avengers.
All right, so Peter swings home thinking, gotta get home. Last I heard, he was at Rikers. If he's out, first thing he'd do is track me down, find out where I live, and please no, Eddie! Well, look at this.
It's Matt Gargan's
Daddy's
Venom.
home.
Hey, look, guys, it's Matt Gargan's Venom. But they said it's Eddie Brock. No, because the fucking suit he's wearing is Matt Gargan's.
But it's Eddie Brock.
I get it. Okay, you changed Captain America and Iron Man suits. Okay, you changed the wedding dress. Why did you give Venom? Like, I love this comic. I thought this was a really good written comic. I think it's a really well written comic. But this is my big what the fuck moment. It's when we get to the Venom stuff, or I like to call it Spider-Man 3, and we'll get to it later. Well, I call it
Spider-Man 3.
Spider-Man 3. We'll get to it, people. We'll get to it.
I have some opinions on that as well, but
why couldn't he be classic Venom? Like, since Marvel Knights, nobody has been able to draw in classic Venom. Why?
Why can't we get a Venom that actually looks good?
I mean, he has like, okay, you know, he's crossing his leg. For a second, I thought, why does he have 4 legs?
No, he's just crossing them.
He's crossing. Right. Mary Jane's legs are right there, and both her legs are about the size of his one leg, so that's why it threw me off.
That's terrifying. And so Venom goes, we were in the neighborhood, thought we'd pop by. Okay, I'm doing a really bad Christian Bale Batman voice. I'm trying to do a 90s show Venom voice, but it's not working. So Peter decides,
my girl, so now I'm gonna steal his. That's a Spider-Man 3 reference. If people didn't get that. And then
you made me lose my girl
when it came off his face.
Because we all know Venom screams like a banshee. So Spider-Man and Venom fight. Mary Jane runs out of the apartment, tries to signal the Avengers.
The dog looks so cute in those Daredevil pajamas. I gotta admit, that is like, oh, she's so cute. Oh, man, like that. A lot of people were saying about when they read this comic.
Yeah. So Mary Jane runs out, tries to signal the Avengers, gets pissed off when they decide to leave her. Leave her with Venom because they're facing like a world-threatening threat. I'm saying that for the point of parody. It's actually just funny to me. The Avengers come to fight Augustus Roman, who is calling himself Regent. And for the greater good, you shall surrender all power to me or die. All right. So now that we've got the cheesy dialogue out of the way.
Get it? Don't you get it? They're all going to die. And this is why we can't have as nice things with a married Spider-Man. Because the Avengers die.
Yes, the Avengers actually do get... Well, okay. Here's the thing. Apparently, if you read Secret Wars #3, and I've purchased Secret Wars #3. It's in this drawer right here next to me. I've not read it yet because I've like no motivation to read it. I'll be honest with you. I got like 3 pages into it, and I'm just like, yeah, I'm bored. Apparently, they do establish in that book that the Avengers are actually in stasis. They're not actually dead.
No, these Avengers are dead though. The Avengers from this Spider-Man's world's dead. It's the main 616 ones that aren't dead. They're in stasis because, well, obviously they're gonna have to have their book after the book after the series, after Secret Wars ends. I think that's what we're going to do. Every goddamn 616 character who they can't just integrate with, like White Nick Fury from 616, he's probably dead. So Ultimate Nick Fury is going to take his place at Sam Jackson. Stuff like that's going to happen. But Iron Man, Captain America, they're all going to be, oh, we're all alive in this new universe. But our Ultimate counterparts made the ultimate sacrifice. Get it?
So Mary Jane is running and she thinks, okay, how do I keep Annie safe from Venom? There's two things that he can't stand, Sonics and fire. So what does she do? And actually kind of a smart move, she grabs onto a fire truck that's headed towards a burning building.
Which, again, that's Mary Jane. That is Mary Jane written competently. This is
Mary Jane.
After what him and the Brain Trust have done since 2008, is this really the same writer? The same people who did all that shit with Mary Jane?
I really like Mary Jane's. I really love Mary Jane's characterization in this issue. It's absolutely fantastic.
This is Mary Jane Watson. In fact, to quote Dan Slott from that quote he made about, the Mary Jane that this book is about, kind of the Mary Jane with all the character development. No, the 60s go-go dancer. Hey, son, aren't you hip, Dad? Isn't it rad, dude? That Mary Jane, that dude love talking Mary Jane. Yeah, that's not the really Mary Jane. This is the real Mary Jane.
That go-go dancing, all that stuff, they even established that was just a cover-up so that she didn't have to deal with all her internal problems.
She's
this really
wife and daughter, which I've seen some people complain that, oh, they're pushing Mary Jane aside in this book because all the previews all say he's a father first, then a husband, then a wife. Okay, my parents, my aunts and uncles, other friends I have that are married and have kids. You ask them, what are your priorities, your responsibilities, and order of affection and all that stuff? What do they go? Majority of them will either A, lump all family in one category, or they will go, my kids come first, then my spouse, lover, boyfriend, girlfriend, husband, wife, whatever it is, then everything else. But the number one is always either family all lumped together or the child first. So just because Marvel and all the press releases have said he's a father first, husband second, and hero third, that doesn't mean that Mary Jane's being pushed aside. It means he's actually being written competently about how a parent who's married would react.
I cannot argue with that statement. That statement's completely true. So Venom and Spider-Man kind of break out of the building, and then all of a sudden, Spider-Man says, Brock! He screams. He's trying to find Brock. He sees him chasing Mary Jane. He looks over at the Empire Unlimited building. He sees the Avengers. MJ, Annie, I'm coming. My family needs me. The Avengers, ... will be just fine. Well, it turns out in that shocking turn of events,
he rips
after the event
off, and then once they realize it, they go, "Yep, we're dead."
Yep. So the Avengers, Mary Jane, gets off the fire truck when she sees the firefighters. They're like, "Why did you run towards a burning building?" She's like, "Oh, because I'm trying to get away from that guy." And they're like, "Oh my gosh, what is that thing?" And I'm just like, "You should probably do something about it." And so Mary Jane, being the only competent person on the scene, just actually, in a move that's actually as smart as Mary Jane would do, turns on the sirens because, she actually has a brain in her head. Even Peter acknowledges it's only going to stop Venom for a second. That's all I need. And I loved that moment. It's just, where have these characters been? Where have these characters been? I've missed them.
Yeah. And then I do like, how in the next panel, Mary Jane went over that whole stance of, oh, Annie should not know the secret. But then she goes, oh, it's okay, Annie. Your father's taking care of it.
Your father's here.
Takes Venom in the face.
And then we get to the controversial part of this comic, or at least
this is where we get
one
to
of the
Spider-Man 3. I had to make an internet meme of a South Park meme because of this on a lot of forums, and it couldn't. I gave it to John. Want to know why I called this the Venom portion of this book, Spider-Man 3? Hey, look, Eddie Brock's Venom again, and he's gone.
And he's gone. So Spider-Man fights Venom in a burning building. Mary Jane asks the firefighters, No, it's all clear. Why? It's empty! Spider-Man, you're the only ones in there! Do you understand? I do. And so Venom, again, this was a great fight, and Peter's like, no, never again. He rips out the support, drops the building, Venom. And since Venom isn't the Hulk stage of to survive a building being dropped on him, so Peter gets out, and MJ asks, to. And so Peter's like, okay, that was the day that literally every superhero bit the dust, because everyone, I'm not Spider-Man anymore. That was the day I learned what trumps great power and even greater responsibility. And so we cut to a page of the Vulture having robbed someone of their purse. Peter just walks past with Annie. It's established that it's several years later because Annie's very much grown up. She's probably like 6 or 7 years old at this point.
Yeah. Whatever age she was with the Mephisto kid, that's pretty much what it is.
And Peter gives her some lecture about, crossing the street, all that stuff. So that's where the comic ends. So James, I want to get your opinion on Peter dropping a building on Venom.
Okay, people complain about that, and I complain about it too, but it's not for the same reasons. One, I bring up the actual family thing. Okay? You legitimately ask somebody, hey, Madman's going to kill your family, and you have superpower strength. And there's a fiery building, and this person's trying to kill your family's one weakness. What will you do? Yes, Spider-Man has a code of not killing. He doesn't like killing. But
he does what he has to do.
Family comes first. So I'm not complaining about that. But here's the thing. So many people think he killed Eddie Brock. He killed Venom. The cover of issue 2, which is on here the next, who's that behind him?
That looks like Venom to me.
You go to the preview art for 3. What is Peter wearing?
That looks like a black suit to me.
Who's to say that they're dead?
It's the Marvel Universe.
What did we see? We see a hand come out, the symbiote on bond with the hand, and then fall. We know that Venom's dead. Who is to say that because Peter saw a hand come out, a human hand with a symbiote on bonding with it, that Peter grabbed Eddie Brock, Eddie's still alive, he thought the symbiote died, and then the symbiote rebonds with him, so the symbiote was also still alive. Maybe they were never killed off, people.
Back in 1973, Peter saw Norman Osborn take a glider to the chest. Saw it with his own eyes. And look, Norman Osborn's up and about.
But like I said, I complain about my only complaint about the Venom fight is that if Venom is dead, it's not that Peter killed him. Because single Spider-Man taking a life, yeah, I don't agree with that. Threatening his daughter and to eat his daughter. That's 9 different ways of fucking twist it. Threatening to eat somebody's child. Yeah, you're dead. If I was a parent and somebody wanted to cannibalize my kid, they're dead. And I'm not saying it like, oh, they say it, and then it's like, I'm not going to say I'm going to go out and kill somebody. Like, legitimately, I'm not saying that. I'm saying, no, if literally it's something like a Venom, like an actual serial killer who's to my face telling me that, I'm going to protect my child. I'm going to protect my family. Fuck my morals and code. My family, like I said, comes first. So I'm not mad about that. My complaint about
I'm not mad.
why did you make it Eddie Brock? Because literally, like I said, it's Spider-Man 3. You get Eddie, he fights Peter, Peter kills Eddie, Eddie's dead, waste of time.
And he's gone. I mean, to be honest,
it's like they could have just put the line Gargan in there. Because it already looks like Gargan's Venom suit anyways.
to be honest, no one gives a crap about Matt Gargan. Literally, the only reason people...
Gargan's Venom, it's like, yay, I'm glad somebody killed Venom as Gargan.
Literally, no one cares about the Matt Gargan Venom. Literally, no one.
It's Eddie Brock. And like I told John, you know, a few days ago when we talked, I'm okay with Eddie being all, I'm going to kill your daughter and wife. Because Venom has always had that sick, twisted sense of innocence. I mean, Carnage arc proves that, where he says, I need to protect innocence. I'll even kill innocence to protect innocence. And Peter goes, yeah, that really sounds like a sane guy. So Eddie has always had a twisted sense about what's innocent or not. So even though technically Annie and Mary Jane are innocent, in his twisted, fucked up mind, she's the daughter of Spider-Man, and Mary Jane married the guy. He thinks they're not innocent, they're working with him. So all clothes are off. Or he's thinking, Peter's not innocent, so I'll kill his entire family just to torture him because he's not innocent. Venom works that way because that is Venom. What doesn't work with Venom is bringing back Eddie Brock's Venom, which I was excited for. Venom, Eddie Brock's in that Venom. Oh, this is going to be awesome. And he's gone.
I mean, I'm really hoping that we see more of Eddie Brock's Venom as we go through future issues of this.
I'm hoping. I mean, I'm joking here, but I would love, because they got the Sony deal, if they reveal that this is the Spider-Man 3 universe, because at least I can see that Venom dying every time. It just makes me smile a little bit if it's that Venom, if it's that Eddie Brock.
Just a running gag in every issue. Venom has to get hurt in some way.
The Topher Grace Venom from Spider-Man 3. He's their Kenny. Everything he does, he shows up for the final fight and he's dead.
He just goes to the bathroom in one issue, and he's gone.
But everything else about the issue is handled really well. But the only thing,
I mean,
a lot of people are scared about the last page because Mary Jane's not Venom. Because a father walking his daughter around the sidewalk. Oh my God, the mother must totally be dead because the father's walking the daughter across the street. No, it might happen. If it does happen, I'm going to be upset as everybody else, but I'm not jumping to that conclusion. I'm not going to eat my hat because if it happens, it happens. But nobody called it. There's
literally
on that last page that says she's dead or hints at it. It's just Peter walking his daughter across the street. Oh, and
literally no one. Literally, I never thought that anything happened to Mary Jane until actually James pointed that theory out to me. Because I hadn't actually seen that anywhere, because to be honest, I haven't been on a lot of fan forums in the past couple of days, but I thought never crossed my mind.
Or on a comment section of somebody reviewing the comic. But I remember reading that, and I'm like, even if she is dead with the start of issue 2, I really don't think that's what that last page was symbolized. It's just Peter walking his daughter.
Yeah, it's just going for an afternoon walk. It's please don't look.
The only thing that I said that kind of hints at me, and it scares me that might be the route they're going, is, I'll bring this up, like I said, the pure white birds. Because if they were just in one panel as a reference one more day, that's one thing. But I'll skim for the book. They appear again. I'm really scared that somewhere in issue 2 or 3 or even 4, we're going to see the red bird. And then Annie's going to die because Spider-Man wore the suit again. He's going to be crying, my daughter's dead. And then Fisto goes, I can erase you and Mary Jane's memory of your daughter. You don't have to worry about the sadness of your daughter being dead. because you won't remember her. You two were never married. Click. And if they do that, which I'm starting to worry that they might do, yeah, I've been saying I'm ready for the middle finger from Marvel, but that one would legitimately piss me off. Because then it's like, you're just repeating yourself just to go do this to the fans.
I mean, all right. So I think it's time for all general thoughts on Renew. I think it sounded pretty positive from both of us.
Yeah, there's nitpicks. Like I said, like how the Venom thing. I mean, it's not really much a nitpick. It's just a laugh because why did you bring back Eddie if you're going to kill him 5 pages later?
I mean, I think I gave it a very positive review on the website in my written article, and I give it a positive review. I enjoyed it. This is interpretation of Spider-Man. This fits with my interpretation. I really enjoyed this comic, and if we can keep getting issues of this quality and maybe even improving upon this quality, I'd be all for it. I'm really enjoying Renew Your Vows right now.
Now, how many parts is this again? Is this a 5-parter, or how many parts is this?
I have no idea. I literally don't know. That is how little they've released about like information for this.
Because it's this story is going to have an ending point probably around the time Secret Wars ends. So around 4 or 5 issues, let's say. I mean, we can get to issue 4 or 5, and it's the worst comic of all time. But for right now, that
is true.
One issue, I'm holding on to the Peter Parker and the Peter Parker and the Mary Jane Watson Parker I remember.
Can we? In my written article, I think it's made me think of Spider-Man 2 movie. That scene, at the train, he's laying in the passengers have got him in the middle of the car, and the little kid hands him his mask and he says, "It's good to have you back, Spider-Man." That's how I feel about this comic. It really is. That's how I feel about this comic. That line sums it up, I think.
It is, though. It's true. I'm that kid. When I bought this from the comic store, and even before I read the first page, I mean, and then after I read it, even, I was home. Like I said, I wanted to cry. This is my Spider-Man. Marvel, after years of telling me about how I should shut up and take my medicine and enjoy their take on the character, I finally got back, at least for this one issue, my character, my Peter Parker, my Mary Jane Watson Parker. Can't really say my daughter because she's only appeared in one more day before this, so yeah, and 1 page and omit, but besides that, Mary Jane, I got my people back. It's not the same ones because it's clearly a different universe, but at least the character-wise, I got them back.
All right, so I give Renew Your Vows number 1 a thumbs up, and I think James is going to agree with me on that. Would you give it a thumbs up as well?
2 thumbs up.
Awesome. So pretty positive marks from us on this issue.
Is this a record? I gotta say, unless it's an old issue, this is the first time I've given a thumbs up to an issue since I've been on even the old podcast. Because I came in with Superior, then it was Volume 3. This is the first time I think I gave a new issue a positive grade. I am shocked.
If anyone has not picked up this comic yet from your local comic shop or downloaded it digitally, however you get your comics, go out and get it. We recommend it. It's a pretty good issue.
Do it just for the sheer fact of at least this issue. Issue 1. Because then it does send the message to Marvel. Because if issue 2 on up, it all goes to hell and Mary Jane's dead and Peter gets another Mephisto deal or whatever. At least show them that first issue where nothing other than Peter quit being Spider-Man and the Avengers all die. That marriage-wise, nothing bad happened in the comic and the characters are actually written well the way you like it. They can deny it all they want, but numbers never lie. And if the sales are really good, they're going to have it in their face that it was wrong to do one more day. They can deny it, but if sales comes out and this is higher than whatever issue 18 was or Superior ever was, they can deny it and try to twist the numbers whatever way they want to say, well, it wasn't because of marriage, because of Eddie return or because of this. The numbers don't lie. If this book sells, it's telling Marvel to their face, you were wrong. And I don't care if I sound like one of those whining fanboys yet you might hear on other Spider-Man shows or websites or podcasts or whatever. It's the truth. This sells well. No matter what they do from here on out, you proved your point that, yes, a married Spider-Man is not only competent and fans still want it, but they're willing to pay their hard-earned money to read good Spider-Man stories. Not good Spider-Man in a few pages acting like a fucking idiot while every other character is showing how great they are. No, a well-written Spider-Man book that's about Spider-Man.
Yeah, that's going to conclude. I think that's going to conclude our Renew Your Vows discussion, and that's also going to do it for the podcast tonight. We don't really have anything else. We didn't prepare any classic reviews because we really wanted to devote most of the episode to Renew Your Vows because that was a pretty important topic.
The only classic review I could see that could kind of make sense was the first Carnage arc, because you guys already covered issue 300, and that's the big Venom issue. So, like, that's the only thing I can see is that a Venom issue is the only one we could cover, really. Either that or annual 21.
Yeah, we didn't prepare a classic review, so we're not going to do one tonight. But I think that's gonna do it for this episode of the podcast. So, James, you got any shout outs you want to give to anybody, anything?
Just, I got to repeat myself again. I got 2 shout outs. I can do normal shout outs, and I can do shout outs to other people and other things. But there's just 2 I got to make tonight just to end the story and put the book in. Shout out to Mary Jane Watson Parker and Peter Parker. And again, at least for this one issue, because I'm fully expecting to go to hell after this. At least for this one issue, it's so great to have you both back. I missed you, my old friends. I know that sounds weird to some people, but still, that's how I feel. It's glad to have my old friends, my Peter and Mary Jane back for at least one issue. Oh, and of course, watch AGR, but that's not really a shout-out. This is an advertisement.
Yes, because he plugs AGR every week, and I always tease him about it. But if I ever go, I've been on AGR before. I'm pretty sure I plugged my own shit.
After we let go of Matt, you were like our temporary replacement guy for him for those few weeks.
Yeah, I think it's 2 episodes of AGR. I ripped in. I remember episodes.
I remember that because you were really miserable because like we were going for shitty Spider-Man, and then I had you watch shitty episodes of Power Rangers.
Yeah, and I do wish I'd been on AGR for this episode discussion, because that is something I've been doing this past week. I've been binge watching Super Mega Force, and that story. The one episode where the Pink Ranger, who's played by Christina Masterson, the one episode where she asks one of the other male Rangers to marry her, and the guy hesitates to want to do it. I was just like, this proves that Power Rangers does not get relationships, because if Christina Masterson asks you to marry her, you do it. You do not ask questions, you do it.
Jake and Gia's relationship that whole 2 years is proof that Power Rangers doesn't know how to handle a relationship properly. Will you date me? Will you date me? Will you date me? Will you date me? Stop being annoying.
No.
Will you date me? Will you date
me?
Will you date
okay,
me?
James.
That's Jake's whole
James.
motivation all season long.
Okay, James. I'm just going to say this right now. I have met guys like that. They do exist. And let me tell you right now, guys like that do exist. I've seen them with my own 2 eyes.
Well, tell the fandom that, because the fandom still shits about Jake about that. Because granted, a teenager being a horn dog to a hot chick, oh my god, that's so weird, because he's not being respectable to her. Which, granted, he does go overboard on it, but again, guys, he's a teenager.
Guys, let me just tell you.
Oh, there's a thread.
I know guys like that.
There's a thread on actually the guy who runs the thread is a friend of mine. He's a nice guy, but he hates Megaforce and Super Megaforce, and he has a thread devoted about just shitting on that. Where I'm on the other fence, I actually kind of like the season. And I know it's bad and it has shitty things, and it's really shitty things in there, but I look at it in it's Power Rangers, so it's in the so bad it's good category to me.
That's what I will say. Like as I've been binge watching Super Mega Force, that is the approach I take. It's like it's so awful, it's actually good. It's just like it's charming how awful it is. Okay, let's get this isn't freaking AGR. I'm gonna stop talking. So yeah, my shout outs this week, obviously Marvel, Stan Lee, Steve Ditko. If it wasn't for you guys, we wouldn't be here. Shout out to I'm gonna ditto James's shout out. Shout out to these two right here, Peter Parker, Mary Jane Watson. Love Mary Jane Watson Parker, excuse me.
And another final special shout out to Annie Parker, because I'm sorry that in one issue you're already to millions in the shadow of Mayday.
Yeah, that's so shout out to the Parker family. Let's see, who else should I give a shout out to this week? There was someone else I wanted to give a shout out to, but for whatever reason I'm blanking on it right now. Yeah, I think that's gonna do it. I think oh, shout out to Jan. That's who I was gonna do it. Oh yeah, shout out to Jan. Shout out to I'll just give a general shout out to Spider-Man. Yeah, I'll do that. All right. I guess that's gonna do it for this episode. We hope to be back next week. We haven't exactly decided on the topic for next week's episode yet, but I'm sure we'll think of something. So we'll hope to see you guys next week. And yeah, with great power comes great responsibility. See you guys later.